So today is Transgender Day of Visibility. It's a time for the trans community to come together and celebrate trans excellence, but also a time for allies to show further support to the trans community. Today I'm going to be chatting to a friend of mine, Miss Katalyna, who is a social activist and proud trans woman of colour. Miss Katalyna is host of The Bent Spoon, a member of Pacific X and co-founder of Trans Sisters United and the Trans Pride March in Melbourne. So Miss Katalyna and I are going to have a chat and we're going to spill the tea on all things around trans visibility. So welcome Miss Katalyna, and thank you for taking the time to share your story and experience with us for Transgender Day of Visibility. So just to start with, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you represent?
Thanks, Rebecca. So I am, what can I say? I am the host of the new multicultural cooking show called The Bent Spoon. I'm also, like yourself, one of the co-founders of Trans Pride March. I'm also a trans activist, and I'm many things, darling, many things.
You are
and
many things.
I wear too many hats.
Yeah, you do wear a lot of hats. And also, yeah, I wanted to say to you as well, like you're doing so many different things. You're doing The Bent Spoon, you're part of Pacific X, you're a co-founder of Trans Pride March Melbourne and Trans Sisters United. You're doing a lot of different things, and you're also quite a, dare I say, outspoken social activist. But, you know, I think you...
Very outspoken.
You call it when it needs to be called, and I think that's one thing I really admire about you is that you're not afraid to voice your opinion or to say what you believe to be valid and true, and that's one thing I've always really admired about you. You're fearless.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thanks, sis. Well, it's, you know, you were asking, you know, about, you know, who do I represent? So I represent a lot of communities, you know. So, and a lot of these communities, you know, we don't have enough voices, you know, the trans community, you know, the plus size community, you know, the Polynesian, the people of color, you know, it just goes on. So, and people with dyslexia, you know, which I don't really speak often, which I should. So I think I've taken on that responsibility to be a little bit outspoken.
Yeah, and from me to you, I think you're doing an incredible job.
Oh, thanks, sis, and you too.
Oh, thank you. So we're here to speak about you, but I just wanted to ask you. So, have you always been an out trans person? Like, when did you first decide to be out about your gender identity, or were you not so, I guess, public about that at one point in your life?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I've never hid it. I've never denied it or anything like that. Maybe years ago when I was a teenager, but that was because, you know, out of safety I did, but that's many years ago. But when in the last 20 years, I've actually always been open. I'm not open. I've never hid it. Yeah. Which can come across, I'm not open, but it was just that I didn't go around saying, oh, I'm a trans woman or speak out. So in a way I was kind of open, but sort of I just didn't say anything.
It's almost like if someone asks you, like if they say, oh, if you want to speak about it openly, then you will, but you don't deny it, but you didn't necessarily walk around announcing it off the top of rooftops. Yeah,
because you know what, we all at that time, I just wanted to live my life, like a lot of us. We most want to do. We just want to live our lives, but unfortunately, there are times where there was a time where there were so many things. You know, I've been working in what's the right term for it? Just jobs that weren't in the LGBT community, just not normal jobs. Sorry, that's the wrong term. Just, you know, working in call centers with the general public, and just hearing things that people would say, like that were inappropriate, that were incorrect, that were homophobic, transphobic, and I couldn't say anything, you know, if they had asked me, I would say something, but I just didn't say anything because I think I just didn't feel comfortable or safe at the moment to speak out or say anything. So over the last, I guess 10 or 12 years, I've decided, to be even more outspoken. And so now, about 5 years ago, I did come out to one of my work. And then from there, every job after that, I tell the manager, and I tell people who I have interviews with, and then I announce it to the whole group. It's not a coming out, it's just me just announcing, I'm trans and I'm here, I'm going nowhere.
And so why do you think, that kind of leads into the next question of why do you think trans visibility is so important?
It's really important because I think for a lot of us, we feel like we feel trapped, we feel locked in, and because we don't see us as trans people often in media, and so we, kind of, a lot of us do feel alone. And I think visibility actually shows that you're not alone, that there's other trans people just like you out there. And I think that's really, really important. And everyone's voice matters.
I think it helps other people to find the courage to be comfortable in their own skin when they see other people doing the same. And it's just kind of progressed over the years that more and more people are, they're seeing people be outspoken and comfortable and happy with who they are, that they're like, you know what, if they can do it, so can I. And I think that's a really healthy, good thing for anyone, really.
Yeah. And the other thing about that is that sometimes it feels like, oh my goodness, we have to be an activist in order to be seen. And that's not the case. It's just that you can just still be you and do whatever you want to do. You don't even have to announce that you're trans, I just thought I'll mention that.
No, definitely. And so what does inclusivity mean to you? Like, what does it mean to be inclusive for you? I think a lot of people try to do this and they kind of hit the targets the wrong way, and it can sometimes come across tokenistic. So what does inclusivity mean to you?
Oh, it really is about, if we're talking about organizations, look at who's on your board, because they're the people who decide. They're the decision makers, people in your management. Are you including, trans people, people of color, giving them the platform instead of not just offering them an opportunity, that comes once in a blue moon. It's actually making sure that they are part of the decision making. That's really important. That's where organizations, because we know that most of organizations are run by white men. So trans people, women in general, we all need to invade those spaces.
Yeah, I think it's, for me, I think when I think of inclusivity, I think that organizations and businesses really need to be a true reflection of society, not just one or two people, and just to be a true reflection of the diverse society that we have. And that needs to be seen in places of power, where the people of the community are really being represented by people within their community.
Yeah, especially being more inclusive of Indigenous people and our non-binary siblings. That's really, really important.
Yeah, I agree. So what are two, specific things that allies can do to be supportive of people of trans experience?
Oh, to be allies. Oh, that's a tricky one. To be more supportive. I think, one thing is when you see, because we know that there are people who, some of our allies, they see things happen, you know, transphobia, homophobia, and all that kind of stuff, and then they don't do anything. They don't say anything. They just kind of let it slide. You know, that's an opportunity for them. This doesn't mean you become an activist or you've been an activist. It's really just correcting people and educating people and say what you know, that no, trans people are not like that, and or just say no, don't be judgmental, or that kind of stuff. They also have a responsibility as well. You know?
Yeah. I think one thing that I heard, Munro Bergdorf, who is a trans woman of colour and she's an activist in the UK, she's very outspoken. She reminds me of you, actually. And one thing I remember that really stuck with me, that she said that if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. And that's exactly what you're saying. It's if you're just sit back and you don't say anything, you're actually part of the problem if you're not actually doing something to come up with a solution to stop things like transphobia and homophobia and racism and all these things that are happening throughout society. So that really stuck with me, and I think that's so true.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. And yeah, just to be silent. And that's what I was doing for quite a while. I wasn't saying anything, you know. And then I thought, no, I need to change how I deal with things, because I have a mouth and I know how to use it.
And I think a lot of people do that same kind of thing. Like they're like, oh, I don't want to get involved, I don't want to say anything, but by not saying anything is perpetuating the problem. Like it's actually making it worse.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. And it does depend on the situation, you know, because we don't want to encourage people to, you got to not pick and choose, you got to also be aware of your surroundings, you know.
Of course.
Sometimes it's not good to say, and maybe sometimes the best thing is to ignore because it might not be safe, but you kind of know.
You can assess those situations as they come, and I agree with you. Yeah, like you don't want to get involved with something if it's going to jeopardize your safety or the safety of others.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So what would be, I guess, like a message to the broader community on what you would like them to know about the transgender community, around transgender people in general?
Yeah, it really is about just get to know us. You don't need to know our journey. That's really, you know, not that important. It's important to us, but it's just really just to get to know us individually. We're all very different, unique to ourselves, and we're not all the same. We're just like everybody else, and yeah, that's really it. Is really just to get to know us as people first. Yeah,
I agree. And so, who are your inspirations from the trans community? Like, I know there's a lot of people that, you know, you and I might chat about, but who are some of your, I guess, like, inspirational role models within the trans community?
Oh, well, thank you for the question. Well, honestly, this is not me being biased, and not because you are my friend, but you're one of them. You're one of the role models that I look up to. There's so many. There's you, there's Carmen Rupe, there's people who've passed on, there's Carmen Rupe, there's so many. Like, there's Cindy Samoa.
Yeah, one person that always kind of sticks in my mind whenever I talk to you is Shea Diamond. I think she's...
Oh my God, yes. Shea Diamond and Lala's the Now. Ashley Bree, yeah, love her. Ashley Bree is another level.
Yes. There's some incredible people around that we can look up to, and it's good because this wasn't always the way. I think for you and I, probably around the time that we transitioned, there wasn't anyone. There was no one. There was no one on TV. That we didn't really hear a lot about quite well-known musicians. There wasn't really people in the media, I think, probably in the days when we started our transition. There was maybe a few people in the community which might not have been the best role models.
Yes, I was going to say that.
But in the public eye, there wasn't really anyone. There was no Laverne Cox. There was no one.
no, there wasn't anybody. I mean, the only person that I can think of was Carlotta, but Carlotta really was really how can I put it? I'm trying to put it in a nicer way. Not that I, although she has been quite problematic, but I have to give her credit. She has been one person that has, not taught, but she was one person I did also look up to. And she said some amazing things in her past interviews, defending herself when people were attacking her. So.
Yeah, definitely.
Please don't send me. I hope nobody sends any hate mails.
You're doing fine. And so, do you have a message for other people of transgender experience? So maybe, maybe people that are younger, or people that are scared to come out, or people that just really kind of need some inspiration. What would your message to other people of transgender experience be?
Well, I don't really have a message, because I don't want people to take that and then live on it, because it might not be the right thing. All I can say is that look for support. There's so many support groups for so many different needs. We've got the Trans Pride, we've got Transgender United. There's all these support groups that you can join. Got -18.
Why gender? Yeah.
Why gender? Yes, there's so many. I think it's really important that you find that support group, whichever one suits you, because that's you're gonna need it along the way.
Yeah, definitely. Well, Miss Katalyna, thank you so much for your time today. It's been amazing talking to you for Transgender Day of Visibility. I think it's really important, like you said, to hear other voices, and I'm so grateful to be able to share this time with you. And so thank you for speaking with me today and spilling some tea.
Thank you, sister. And you're welcome. I expect a check in the mail.